Hey, I'm Arch, one of the co-founders at Tax, and in this video, we'll be showing you how to file a UK self-assessment tax return to HMRC as a non-resident landlord. And for the technical watchers amongst you, this will include the SA109 residency pages and the SA105 rental income pages, along with the SA100 main tax return. Now with Tax, you only need a UTR to submit to HMRC. That's a unique taxpayer reference that HMRC will provide you to submit self-assessment tax returns, and a form of photo ID for our anti-money laundering compliance. Let's get stuck in. So at tax.co.uk, click start for free, and we'll start off by completing a few introductory questions. This helps to build your personalized self-assessment questionnaire. And here I need to click resident of another country, as this enables the residency section of my tax return. I will also select landlord or rental income so that I can see the relevant questions around property earnings. Now, as I'm a non-resident, I'm only taxed on UK sourced income, so I'm only going to declare my UK rental property. I don't need to declare any employment, self-employment from abroad. And once complete, I can sign up and save progress by adding my name and email. Now we're into the main tax return, and we start off by asking you about your residence status. And for this video, I'm simply an overseas investor without any significant days in the UK. So I'll tick one of the automatic overseas residence tests. And we cover a wide range of cases here, from simple non-resident cases to split year to dual resident to non-domicile and so on. But anyway, we will help you determine your residence status by asking you the relevant questions from HMRC's statutory residence tests. I need to input details around my days and work days in the UK, and my nationality, and where I was resident in the tax year that we're filing for. And this is important, as this information will determine whether you receive a personal allowance or not. And the software will automatically apply the personal allowance for me if it's applicable. And everything here is dynamic, so I'm only being shown the relevant questions that apply to my specific case. But we also know that residency is complicated, so just give us a shout if you do have any questions. And that's the residency section complete. Now, let's jump into rental income. So, on the rental category, I can add multiple properties in this section, but for now, I'll just add one. And once I input some basic details around my address, whether the property is jointly owned, I can input details on my turnover, tax deducted, and expenses. Now, as I'm a non-resident, I've had tax withheld at source from my letting agent. Now, this normally means I'm due a refund because the withheld tax doesn't take into account my personal allowance or any expenses I've had. Now, obviously, if I filed the NRL1 form to HMRC, tax would not be deducted. Now, as a landlord, it's important to keep track of your income and expenses. But also take a look at the various expenses that we suggest for inspiration. Note that anything that you purchase wholly and exclusively for the management of your properties is an allowable expense, and tax will handle the relevant calculations for you. For example, mortgage interest and arrangement fees are treated slightly differently to other expenses, but you only receive a 20% tax credit instead of a full deduction. Now, tax will handle this, but please ensure to complete the expense section accurately. And as I fill this out, I can see my tax position on the top right change and see the impact on my tax refund. Now, once that's done, the final sections are just a bit of generic information that we need for your tax return. Things like your address, your date of birth, the UTR, and so on. Once complete, we're then ready to finalize the tax return. And as I'm due a refund, I can input my bank details where I want the refund sent to. If you don't have a UK bank account, that's fine. You can leave this blank and HMRC will send you a check via post. And once I pay, I can now see a full breakdown of my tax calculation. And once I review the tax calculation, there's just a few additional questions around providing any additional notes to HMRC, an identity verification, and then I can review the full tax return PDF and click submit to HMRC. And that's it, the tax return has been submitted. It literally only takes a few minutes. Now after filing, I can use my dashboard to store important tax documents. And as I've just filed, you can see that I've got my SA302 tax calculation summary, so that tax breakdown we saw earlier, and the full self-assessment PDF with the submission receipt too. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps. If you do have any questions whilst filing your tax return, feel free to get in touch and one of our team will be happy to support. Thank you.